I was lying in the ICU with tubes running through both arms when my phone screen lit up for the 12th time. 12 attempts to reach my parents. A nurse with kind eyes asked if anyone was coming. I pressed call again. My mother finally answered, but her voice sounded distant and annoyed. In the background, my sister Amanda was screaming about sage green versus seafoam green for her bridesmaids. My mother sighed heavily and said she would call me back later before hanging up abruptly. I stared at my phone as the doctor walked in to inform me I needed emergency surgery within the hour. 3 days before that moment, I had been driving home from my construction site. I work as a project manager for a commercial building company, overseeing crews and making sure projects stay on schedule and under budget. It was a Tuesday evening around 6:30, and traffic was typical for that time. I remember thinking about stopping for groceries, mentally running through what I had in my fridge at home. Then everything exploded into chaos. A delivery truck ran a red light and slammed into the driver's side of my sedan. The impact was so violent that my car flipped twice before landing upside down in the middle of the intersection. I was trapped inside, unable to move, feeling something warm running down my face. Later, the firefighters told me it took them 45 minutes to cut through the metal and extract me from the wreckage. The ambulance rushed me to the nearest trauma center. I have fragmented memories of that ride. Sirens. Pain everywhere. Someone saying my vitals were dropping. Bright lights. Then nothing. I woke up the next morning in the ICU, completely disoriented. My head felt like it had been split open. Every breath sent sharp pains through my chest. Tubes were coming out of my arms, my nose, everywhere. A nurse noticed I was awake and came over to check my vitals. She explained, in a gentle voice, that I had been in surgery for 6 hours. Internal bleeding, broken ribs, collapsed lung, head trauma. They had done everything they could, but I would need to stay in intensive care for monitoring. The first thing I did after processing this information was reach for my phone. My fingers were shaky, but I managed to pull up my contacts and call my parents. My mother answered on the 4th ring. "Jameson, this really is not a good time," she said immediately. Her tone was clipped, irritated. "Your sister is having a complete breakdown about the wedding." I tried to form words through my confusion and pain. "Mom, I'm in the hospital. I was in a car accident." She cut me off before I could continue. "Can this wait? Amanda is threatening to cancel everything because the florist used the wrong shade of pink." "The wrong shade, Jameson. Do you understand how catastrophic this is?" I felt something cold settle in my chest. "Mom, I almost died. I'm in the ICU. We will call you back when things settle down here. Your sister needs us right now." The line went dead. I sat there, staring at my phone, wondering if I had imagined that conversation. A nurse came by and asked if my family was on their way. I told her they were dealing with something important and would come when they could. That evening, I tried again, left a voicemail. "Mom, Dad, I'm in the ICU at Memorial Hospital. I really need you here. Please come." No response. Not that night, not the next morning. By the second day, my body was screaming in pain. But what hurt worse was the silence from my phone. I called my father that afternoon. He picked up, and I could hear the television in the background. Some game show. "Son, Amanda needs us right now," he said without any preamble. "Her wedding is in 6 weeks. This is the most important day of her life. Can you handle whatever this is on your own? You have always been the independent one." I tried to explain the severity of my injuries, tried to make him understand that I had almost died, that I was alone and scared and in more pain than I had ever experienced. "You will be fine," he said with complete certainty. "You have always been fine. Your sister, though, she needs us more. We will come by when things settle down with the wedding planning." He hung up before I could respond. I had always been the responsible son, the one who got good grades without being asked, the one who put myself through college with scholarships and part-time jobs. The one who bought my own house at 27 and paid it off early. The one who never asked for help. My younger sister Amanda, on the other hand, had always been what my parents called sensitive. She needed extra attention, extra support, extra everything, and I had accepted that dynamic my entire life. I told myself it was fine. They were just trying to balance things out, but this felt different. I was genuinely hurt, genuinely in danger, and they could not be bothered to drive 20 minutes to see me. That afternoon, my breathing became labored. The monitors started beeping frantically. Doctors rushed in. They discovered that my lung was not reinflating properly from the initial surgery. I needed another procedure, and they needed to do it soon. I called my parents again, straight to voicemail, both phones. I left messages on each. I need another surgery. Please, I really need you here. Hours crawled by. The procedure was scheduled for 8 that evening. Still no response from my parents. No texts, no calls, nothing. The surgery went ahead without them. When I woke up around midnight, a different nurse was on duty. She asked again about family. I told her they were busy with something important. She looked at me with such sadness that I had to turn away. On the evening of the second day post-accident, my doctor came in with another physician I had not met before. They both looked serious. They sat down beside my bed and explained that the internal bleeding had not stopped completely. They had discovered additional injuries during the second procedure. My spleen was damaged. They suspected a liver laceration as well. "We need to take you back into surgery tonight," my doctor said. His voice was calm but firm. "This is serious, Jameson. Without this surgery, you could die within the next 24 hours. The world seemed to tilt. Die. That word hung in the air between us. "Is there anyone we should call?" the other doctor asked gently. I tried my parents one more time. My hand was shaking as I pressed the call button. My mother answered, and the relief that flooded through me was immediately crushed by her exasperated tone. "Jameson, not now." Her voice was sharp. "Amanda just found out the venue double-booked and might cancel on her. This is an absolute disaster. I will call you tomorrow. I promise." I tried to speak, tried to tell her that I might not be here tomorrow, but she had already hung up. I sat there in that hospital bed, phone clutched in my hand, truly understanding for the first time that my parents had chosen my sister's wedding drama over my life. They had chosen paint colors and venue bookings over whether their son lived or died. Something broke inside me in that moment. Not my body, which was already broken enough. Something deeper. The part of me that had spent 32 years trying to be the son who did not need anything, the son who was fine on his own, the son who understood that Amanda needed them more. I was done being that son. I lay there for a long time after that phone call, staring at the ceiling tiles and listening to the steady beep of the monitors. A nurse came in to check my vitals and saw something in my face that made her pause. "Still no family?" she asked softly. "No," I said. My voice sounded hollow even to my own ears. She squeezed my hand. "I am so sorry." After she left, I found myself thinking about Marcus. We had gone to college together, stayed close over the years despite our different career paths. He had become a lawyer, specializing in family law and estate planning. We grabbed beers every few weeks, watched football games together, celebrated each other's wins and commiserated over losses. I picked up my phone and called him. He answered immediately, his voice warm and familiar. "Jameson, how have you been, man? We still on for the game this weekend? Marcus, I need your help." My voice cracked on the last word. His tone changed instantly. "What happened? Where are you?" I told him everything. The accident, the surgeries, the calls to my parents, their responses, Amanda's wedding, the paint colors. All of it spilled out in a rush of words that left me breathless and aching. When I finished, there was a long silence on the other end. Then Marcus spoke, and his voice was filled with a fury I had rarely heard from him. They will not come even though you might die. Are you telling me this correctly? Yes, I whispered. I am coming to the hospital right now. Do not sign anything. Do not agree to anything. Do not make any decisions until I get there. Do you understand me? Marcus, I have surgery in a few hours. I might not make it through. You will make it through, he said firmly. And when you do, we are going to make some changes. I will be there in 30 minutes. He arrived in 40 minutes, dressed in a full suit despite it being almost 7 at night, his briefcase in hand. He looked out of place among the nurses and doctors in their scrubs, but his presence felt solid and real, in a way nothing else had for days. Marcus pulled a chair up to my bedside and opened his briefcase. Talk to me about your assets, he said without preamble. I was confused by the question, but I answered. I owned my house outright, paid off 2 years ago. I had savings, a decent amount built up over years of living below my means and investing wisely. And I had a trust fund from my grandfather, who had passed away when I was 25, and left me about $200,000. I had barely touched it, letting it grow over the years. Who are your beneficiaries? Marcus asked, writing notes in a legal pad. My parents, I said, for everything. They are listed as my emergency contacts, too. They have medical power of attorney. Marcus looked up at me, his expression hard. So, if you do not make it through this surgery, everything you have worked for, everything your grandfather left you, it all goes to the people who could not be bothered to answer your calls from the ICU? Hearing it stated so plainly made something twist in my gut. Yes. Not anymore, Marcus said. He pulled out a stack of documents from his briefcase. We are changing everything right now, before you go into that operating room. Over the next hour, Marcus walked me through new legal documents. We changed all of my beneficiaries from my parents to various charities that mattered to me. Animal shelters, veterans organizations, scholarships for first-generation college students. We removed my parents as my medical power of attorney and designated Marcus instead. We updated my will completely, making it crystal clear that my parents would receive nothing. There is one more thing, Marcus said. He pulled out a blank sheet of paper. Write them a letter, to be delivered only if you do not make it. My hand was shaking as I wrote. I kept it short. Told them I had called 17 times. Told them I had needed them. Told them I hoped Amanda's paint colors were worth it. Signed my name. Sealed it in an envelope. Marcus put it in his briefcase. I will make sure they get this if necessary. But you are going to pull through, Jameson. You hear me? The nurses came then to prep me for surgery. I had to sign consent forms, go through pre-op procedures. Marcus stayed beside me the entire time. As they were about to wheel me away, I tried one more time. I called my father. He answered on the first ring, his voice impatient. Jameson, I told you we are dealing with Amanda's crisis. This is not a good time. I am about to go into emergency surgery, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. I might not make it. I just wanted you to know that. I just wanted to hear your voice. There was a pause. Then my father sighed, long and dramatic. Do not be so dramatic. You will be fine. You have always been fine. Call us when you get discharged, and we can all have dinner. We will tell you all about the venue situation. It is quite the story. He hung up. I handed my phone to Marcus. My hands were numb. Everything felt distant and unreal. Make sure they get that letter, I said. As the nurses wheeled me toward the operating room, Marcus was looking at my phone with a strange expression. Jameson, when did you give me access to your financial accounts? Last year, I said drowsily. The pre-surgery medication was starting to kick in for the estate planning stuff we talked about. Why? We need to talk when you wake up, Marcus said, but his voice sounded far away now. There is something here, something in your accounts. The last thing I remember before going under was Marcus frantically scrolling through something on my phone, his face getting darker with each swipe. Then there was nothing but darkness, and the distant sound of my own heartbeat slowing down. I woke up to pain. Not the sharp, immediate agony of the accident, but a deep, bone-level ache that seemed to radiate from everywhere at once. My mouth was dry, my throat burned, everything hurt. "Easy," a familiar voice said. Marcus. He was sitting beside my bed, looking exhausted. His suit jacket was draped over the back of the chair, his tie loosened, his sleeves rolled up. "Do not try to talk yet." A nurse appeared, checked my vitals, adjusted something on one of the machines. She smiled at me. "Welcome back. You gave us quite a scare." I tried to ask how long I had been out, but my throat would not cooperate. Marcus seemed to understand anyway. 14 hours, he said. "The surgery took 7 hours. You have been in recovery since then." He paused, and something crossed his face. Anger, maybe, or disgust. "Your parents are on their way." Amanda's venue crisis resolved itself. Turned out to be a scheduling misunderstanding with the catering company, not an actual double booking. I closed my eyes. Of course it had been nothing. "They are coming now because Amanda's problem is solved," Marcus continued. His voice was flat, carefully controlled. "Not because their son almost died. Not because you have been here alone for 4 days. Because Amanda does not need them anymore. So now they have time for you." Before I could process that, I heard voices in the hallway. Loud, familiar voices that made my chest tighten. My parents walked into the room, and the first thing I noticed was that they did not look worried. They looked annoyed, inconvenienced. My mother was checking her phone as she entered. My father was carrying a coffee cup from the hospital cafeteria. "Jameson," my mother said, barely glancing at me. "Why did you have Marcus call us? You know we were dealing with Amanda. That was incredibly inconsiderate timing." I stared at her, stared at the tube still running into my arms, the monitors, the hospital gown, the paleness of my own skin. Could she really not see? My father took a sip of his coffee and looked around the room as if assessing a hotel. "The nurse said you had surgery? What for?" "Car accident," I managed to rasp out. My voice was rough, damaged from the breathing tube. 4 days ago. I almost died last night." My mother waved her hand dismissively, the gesture so casual it took my breath away. "Well, you are clearly fine now. Why did you make it sound so urgent?" "We had to leave in the middle of a very important meeting with the wedding planner." Marcus stood up then. I had never seen him look so coldly furious. "Mrs. Turner, Mr. Turner, Jameson called you 17 times over 3 days. 17 times. My father frowned. "We were busy. He was dying," Marcus said, his voice deadly quiet. "He was dying, and he went into emergency surgery alone because you were too busy discussing paint colors for a wedding." My mother's face flushed. "Amanda needed us. Her wedding is the most important day of her life." "More important than her brother's actual life?" Marcus asked. "Do not be dramatic," my father said. But there was something defensive in his tone now. "Jameson is fine. Look at him. He is sitting up. He is talking. We would have come if it was truly life-threatening." Marcus pulled out his phone. "This is a voicemail Jameson left you at 6:47 yesterday evening." He pressed play. My own voice filled the room, weak and desperate. "Mom, Dad, they are taking me into emergency surgery. The doctors said I have less than 24 hours without it. I might not make it. Please, I need you here. I am scared. Please come." The silence after the recording ended was deafening. "Well," my mother said finally, her voice shaking slightly, "we were under tremendous stress. You do not understand what we have been going through with Amanda." "You are right," Marcus said. "I do not understand how anyone could ignore that message." My father straightened, trying to regain control of the situation. "Now listen here. We are Jameson's parents. We know what is best. He has always been the strong one, the independent one. We knew he would pull through. Your sister, Jameson, she is fragile. She needs us in ways you do not." Something inside me snapped. Maybe it was the medication wearing off. Maybe it was 4 days of pain and fear finally reaching a breaking point. I called you from the ICU. I told you I was dying. You hung up on me. We did not know. My mother started. Yes, you did, I said. My voice was getting stronger, fueled by anger I did not know I had been holding. You knew. You just did not care. That is not fair, my father said. We care about you very much. We are here now, are we not? You are here because Amanda does not need you anymore, I said. Not because I needed you. Before anyone could respond, Marcus dropped the next bomb. There is something else we need to discuss. Jameson, I spent the night going through your financial records, the ones you gave me access to for your estate planning. I looked at him, confused. What about them? Someone has been stealing from you, Marcus said. He pulled out his laptop, opened it, turned the screen toward my parents. From the joint account you opened with your parents 7 years ago. The one that was supposed to be for family emergencies only. My mother and father both went very still. Marcus continued, his voice clinical now, lawyer mode fully engaged. $63,400 withdrawn over the past 6 months. Large transfers, always on weekdays, always from the same source. The pattern became clear when I cross-referenced the dates with certain other expenses. He pulled out printed bank statements, highlighted in yellow. Here, a $15,000 transfer on January 12th. That same day, Amanda's venue deposit was made. Here, $8,000 on February 3rd. Amanda's dress was purchased February 4th. Here, $12,000 on March 1st. That was when Amanda's catering was booked. My parents' faces had gone from annoyed to pale. You have been funding Amanda's entire wedding with Jameson's money, Marcus said, without his knowledge or permission. It is a joint account, my mother said quickly. We have every right to use it. For emergencies, I said. My voice sounded strange, distant. You told me it was for emergencies, in case you ever needed help with medical bills or home repairs. Amanda's wedding is an emergency, my father said. She was so stressed. We had to help her. With my money, I said, without asking me. You make good money, my mother said, and there was an edge to her voice now. You have always been financially comfortable. We thought you would not mind helping your sister. So you stole it, Marcus said flatly. We did not steal anything. My father's voice rose. It is family money. Family helps family. Then why did you not ask him? Marcus asked. Why sneak around? Why hide it? No answer. I felt like I was watching this scene from somewhere outside my body. My parents had stolen from me tens of thousands of dollars to fund a wedding for a sister who was currently having a meltdown over paint colors while I lay dying in a hospital. Then the door burst open, and Amanda herself walked in. She looked perfect. Her hair was styled in loose waves. Her makeup was flawless. She wore a designer outfit that probably cost more than my hospital bill. She was scrolling through her phone and did not even look up as she entered. What is going on? She asked, her voice carrying that particular petulant tone I had heard my entire life. Mom texted and said there was drama. What drama? I already have enough to deal with. She finally looked up and saw me, in the hospital bed. Her perfectly shaped eyebrows rose slightly. Oh, what happened to you? Car accident, I said. 4 days ago. She blinked. 4 days? That was when I was dealing with the venue thing. Why did nobody tell me? My mother jumped in quickly. We did not want to upset you before your wedding, sweetheart. You had enough on your plate. Amanda looked between me and our parents, her phone still in her hand. Okay, but you are fine now, right? You are sitting up and everything. I had my spleen removed, I said. Each word felt like pulling teeth, and part of my liver. I almost died. Twice. Oh. Amanda processed this for about 3 seconds. But you will be fine for the wedding, right? It is in 5 weeks. You are still giving your speech as my brother at the reception, right? I already have you listed in the program. I could not speak. Could not even begin to formulate a response to that. Amanda, taking my silence as agreement, turned to our mother and immediately launched into a discussion about whether seafoam green or sage green would look better in the September lighting at the venue. As if I was not lying there, tubes still running into my arms, machines monitoring my every heartbeat. My father cleared his throat. Son, when do they think you will be discharged? We need you to come look at the reception hall setup. Amanda really values your opinion on these things. Something inside me that had been cracking finally shattered completely. Marcus looked at me, and I could see the question in his eyes. He was waiting for my lead, ready to step in if I needed him to. But I needed to do this myself. Get out, I said. My voice was quiet, but it cut through Amanda's monologue about color swatches. Everyone turned to stare at me. What? My mother asked. Get out of my room. All of you. Right now. My father's face darkened. Now, you listen here, son. We drove all the way here to check on you. Despite everything we have going on, you do not get to speak to us that way. You drove 20 minutes, I said. After 4 days. After I almost died. After I begged you to come. You drove 20 minutes when Amanda's crisis was resolved. We are here now, my mother said, her voice rising. Why are you being so ungrateful? Ungrateful. I repeated the word like I was tasting something bitter. You stole $60,000 from me to fund Amanda's wedding. You ignored 17 calls while I was dying. And I am ungrateful. Amanda's eyes went wide. Wait, what? You stole money from Jameson? We did not steal, my father said firmly. It was a joint account. We had every right. For emergencies, I said again. That is what you told me. Remember? When you asked me to open that account 7 years ago, you said it was in case you ever had an emergency and needed help quickly. Medical emergency, home emergency, real emergencies. This was a real emergency, my mother insisted. Your sister was having a breakdown. The stress was making her physically ill. I looked at Amanda, really looked at her. Her perfect hair, her perfect makeup, her perfectly manicured nails tapping on her phone screen. You look really ill, Amanda. Truly suffering. She had the grace to look slightly uncomfortable. I was really stressed. The venue thing was a nightmare. I was dying, I said. Dying, Amanda. Do you understand what that word means? She shifted her weight from one foot to the other. But you did not die. So it worked out. The casual dismissal in those words hit me like a physical blow. Marcus moved closer to the bed, as if afraid I might code right there from the emotional impact. My mother sat down on the edge of my bed, uninvited, and took my hand. It was the first physical contact she had initiated since entering the room. Sweetheart, I know you are hurt that we did not come right away. I almost died, I repeated, but you did not. She said it like it was a triumph, like she had somehow been proven right. See? Everything worked out fine. We knew you were strong enough to handle this. And your sister, my father added. She is not as strong as you. She needs us in ways you do not. You have always been independent. Amanda has always needed more support. So you prioritized her paint colors over my life, I said. Do not be so dramatic, my mother said, squeezing my hand. The gesture felt manipulative now, performative. We would have come if it was truly life-threatening. But doctors always exaggerate. They want to cover themselves legally. We knew you would be fine. Marcus stepped forward. He coded on the operating table. His heart stopped. They had to shock him back. That is in his medical records. That is documented fact. My parents exchanged a glance. Something passed between them. Some unspoken communication that I had seen my entire life but never understood until now. Well, my father said slowly, doctors can restart hearts now. Modern medicine is amazing. We knew the doctors would handle it. I felt dizzy. The audacity of what they were saying, the mental gymnastics required to justify their actions, was staggering. Amanda, who had been quiet for a moment, spoke up. "Look, can we focus here? Jameson is clearly fine. The wedding is in 5 weeks, and I really need to nail down the final details. Jameson, are you going to be out of the hospital in time for the rehearsal dinner? It is in 4 weeks. Amanda," I said carefully, "I do not care about your rehearsal dinner." Her face crumpled. Actual tears appeared in her eyes, the kind she had perfected as a child to get whatever she wanted. "How can you say that? I am your sister. This is the most important day of my life." "More important than me not dying?" I asked. "That is not what I meant." She was crying harder now, mascara starting to run. "You are trying to ruin this for me. You have always been jealous that Mom and Dad pay more attention to me." I stared at her. "Jealous? You think I am jealous? You are trying to make this all about you." Amanda's voice was rising to a pitch I recognized from childhood tantrums. "My wedding is in 5 weeks, and you are trying to steal the spotlight." "I am in the ICU," I said. "I have tubes in my arms. I had my spleen removed. How exactly am I stealing your spotlight?" But Amanda was in full meltdown mode now. "This is just like you. Always making everything dramatic. Always needing attention." My mother immediately rushed to Amanda's side, wrapping her in a hug. "Shh, sweetheart. It is okay. Do not let him upset you. You know how your brother gets." Marcus looked like he wanted to explode. I caught his eye and shook my head slightly. Let them show themselves, I thought. Let me see exactly who they are. My father checked his watch. "Amanda, honey, we have that cake tasting in 90 minutes. We should get going." "But I am upset," Amanda wailed into our mother's shoulder. "I know, sweetheart, I know," my mother soothed. She looked at me over Amanda's head, and her expression was pure guilt trip. "See what you have done? Your sister is having a breakdown." "Over my emergency surgery," I clarified. "Over your attitude about her wedding," my mother corrected. "You could be supportive. Instead, you are choosing to be selfish." The word selfish hung in the air. I had been called that before, usually when I tried to set any kind of boundary with my family. Wanting to spend Christmas with friends instead of listening to Amanda's latest drama? Selfish. Not wanting to loan my father money for Amanda's spring break trip? Selfish. Asking them to remember my birthday? Selfish. "We should go," my father announced. "Jameson clearly needs rest, and Amanda needs to calm down before the cake tasting." My mother stood, still holding Amanda. "We will come back tomorrow. Hopefully you will be in a better mood and can be more supportive of your sister." They started toward the door, actually started to leave. After 15 minutes in my hospital room, they were leaving to go taste cakes. "Wait," I said. My voice was stronger now, fueled by something cold and clear. "You are not coming back." They stopped, turned. "What?" my mother asked. "You are not coming back tomorrow. You are not coming back at all." My father's face reddened. "That is enough. You are upset and on medication. We will forget you said that." "I mean it," I said. "Marcus, make it official." Marcus pulled papers from his briefcase. Papers I had not known he had prepared. "Jameson Turner is requesting that you leave and not return. He is also formally demanding repayment of the $63,400 taken from his account without permission." "You cannot be serious," my mother said. "I have never been more serious," I replied. Amanda's tears had stopped. Now she just looked angry. "You are really going to do this? Right before my wedding?" "Your wedding that was paid for with my stolen money," I said. "Yes, I am really going to do this." "We did not steal," my father shouted. "It was a joint account. We had authorization." "For emergencies," Marcus said calmly. "A wedding is not an emergency. It is fraud, and we are prepared to pursue legal action if necessary." My mother's face went through several emotions rapidly. Shock, anger, then something calculated. She turned to me, and her whole demeanor changed. Her voice became soft, pleading. Jameson, honey, please. You are just upset right now. You have been through a trauma. You are not thinking clearly. I am thinking more clearly than I have in years, I said. But family, she said, reaching out toward me. Family forgives. Family stays together. You cannot throw away decades over a misunderstanding. This is not a misunderstanding, I said. You stole from me. You abandoned me when I was dying. And now you are trying to make me feel guilty about being upset. We raised you, my father said, his voice hard again. We fed you, clothed you, put a roof over your head. You owe us. I owe you? The words came out as a laugh, sharp and bitter. For doing the legal minimum required of parents? We gave you everything. My mother's mask was slipping now. And this is how you repay us? By threatening us? By trying to take back money we used to help your sister? Money you stole, Marcus clarified. Get out, I said again. All of you, get out and do not come back. My mother drew herself up, her face cold now. Fine. But when you calm down and realize what you have done, do not come crying to us. You are making a choice right now, Jameson. You are choosing to destroy this family. No, I said quietly. You destroyed it when you chose paint colors over my life. They left. Amanda was still crying, my mother's arm around her shoulders. My father did not look back. As the door closed behind them, I felt something strange. Not relief exactly, not satisfaction, just emptiness, where something had been my entire life. Then the monitor beside my bed started beeping frantically. My blood pressure spiking, my heart rate racing. Pain exploded through my abdomen, sharp and hot. The nurse rushed in, took one look at the monitors, hit the call button. I need a doctor in here now. More nurses appeared. The doctor. Someone was saying my blood pressure was dangerously high. Someone else was saying something about the surgical site. I felt wetness, warm and spreading across my stomach. Blood. I was bleeding again. The stress has torn the internal sutures, the doctor was saying. We need to get him back to surgery now. As they rushed me toward the operating room for the third time, the world going fuzzy around the edges from whatever they had injected into my IV, I heard Marcus's voice. He was on the phone in the hallway, his words carrying to me as they wheeled me past. Yes, this is Marcus Webb. I need to report identity theft and fraud. Then darkness took me under again. When I woke up this time, the pain was different, duller, more manageable. I could think through it, which felt like progress. Marcus was slumped in the chair beside my bed, asleep. There was a blanket over him that I suspected a nurse had provided. His laptop was open on his lap, the screen dark. Papers were scattered across the small rolling table beside him. I shifted slightly, and the movement woke him. He sat up quickly, rubbing his face. Hey, he said softly. How are you feeling? Like I have been cut open 3 times in 4 days, I said. My voice was hoarse but functional. That is because you have been. He closed his laptop carefully. That was a close one, Jameson. The stress caused your blood pressure to spike so high that it tore the internal sutures. They had to repair everything again. How long was I out? 2 days, Marcus said. He picked up a water bottle, helped me take a sip through the straw. Your parents tried to come back. I felt my chest tighten. What? I had hospital security turn them away. They showed up yesterday morning with Amanda, demanding to see you. Made a scene in the lobby. Security escorted them out. What did they want? Marcus's expression hardened. According to the scene Amanda made, they wanted to convince you to drop the fraud charges before you embarrass the family. Embarrass the family, I repeated. Your mother was shouting about how ungrateful you are. Your father threatened to sue me for slander. Amanda was crying about how you are ruining her wedding. He paused. The hospital issued a formal trespass warning. They cannot come back without legal authorization. I closed my eyes. Even unconscious, even fighting for my life, I could not escape their drama. "There is more," Marcus said quietly. "I have been digging deeper into your finances while you were out. Jameson, it is worse than we thought." He opened his laptop, turned it toward me. Spreadsheets filled the screen, highlighted in different colors. The $63,000 from the joint account, that was just the beginning. I went back further. 2 years, Jameson. They have been taking smaller amounts for over 2 years. 500 here, 1,000 there. Never enough that you would notice immediately, but it adds up. He scrolled through the data, transaction after transaction, all from my accounts, all going to my parents. Total theft over 2 years is approximately $147,000, Marcus said. His voice was clinical, professional, but I could hear the anger underneath. But that is not all. He pulled up another document, a credit report with my name on it. There were accounts I did not recognize. "They opened a credit card in your name 3 years ago," Marcus explained. "Used your information from when you lived at home. They have been using it for Amanda's expenses, engagement party, bridal shower, her dress shopping trips, every meal at high-end restaurants. Current balance is $32,000. I stared at the number. $32,000 in debt that I did not know about. "There is more," Marcus said grimly. He showed me another document. "Amanda's car, the one she drives? That lease is in your name. They used your information to co-sign. You are legally responsible for the payments." "I never signed anything," I said. "I know. That is identity theft, forgery, fraud." Marcus pulled up yet another document. "And this is the apartment she lives in. That expensive place downtown? You are listed as the guarantor on her lease. If she does not pay, they come after you." My head was spinning. How had I not known any of this? How had I not noticed? "You trusted them," Marcus said, reading my expression. "You gave them access to your accounts for emergencies. You thought they were just checking in on your finances, being helpful parents. You had no reason to suspect they were systematically stealing from you." He pulled up one more document, and this one made my blood run cold. "Life insurance," Marcus said. "Through your work, benefit amount is $500,000. Guess who you listed as the beneficiary 3 years ago?" "My parents," I whispered. "We changed it before your surgery," Marcus reminded me. "But Jameson, look at the date this policy was initiated. 3 years ago, right around the same time the financial exploitation started escalating. The implication hung in the air between us. My parents had been positioning themselves financially around the possibility of my death, not just taking money while I was alive, but ensuring they would profit if I died. They have been planning this," I said slowly, "for years." "It looks that way," Marcus agreed. "The small withdrawals started about 2.5 years ago. Then the credit card was opened, then the car lease, then the apartment guarantee, all using your credit, your money, your identity, all building Amanda this life, while systematically draining yours. And if I died, they would get $500,000 from the insurance," I finished. "Plus your house, worth about $400,000. Plus whatever is left in your accounts, probably another $200,000 even after their theft. Plus your trust fund, another $200,000 with growth." Marcus looked at me steadily. "They were positioned to inherit over $1 million if you did not make it." I felt sick, actually nauseous. "You think they wanted me to die?" "I think they made financial plans that assumed you would," Marcus said carefully. "And when you had a life-threatening accident, they saw it as an opportunity rather than a tragedy." The door opened, and I flinched, half expecting my parents despite the security warning. But it was Amanda, alone. She looked different. Her hair was in a simple ponytail. No makeup. Her eyes were red. "How did you get past security?" Marcus asked sharply. I told them I was not here with Mom and Dad, Amanda said quietly. I told them I needed to talk to my brother alone. They let me up. Marcus looked at me. I nodded. He stood reluctantly. I will be right outside. You yell if you need me. After he left, Amanda stood awkwardly by the door. She did not look like the polished, perfect sister I had seen 2 days ago. She looked tired, scared. I am so sorry, she said finally. For which part? I asked. The stolen money? The ignored calls? The paint color meltdown? She flinched. All of it. Everything. I am sorry for all of it. Why are you here, Amanda? She moved closer to the bed, but did not sit. Because I need to tell you something. Something I should have told you days ago. Weeks ago. Years ago. Maybe. What? She took a deep breath. I knew about the money. Mom and Dad told me they were using your savings for the wedding. I said I was not comfortable with it. That we should ask you first. My hands clenched into fists. Mom said no, Amanda continued. She said you owed this family. That Grandpa shouldn't have left everything to you just because you were his favorite. That the money should have been split between us. She said we were just taking what should have been mine anyway. It was not yours, I said. Grandpa left it to me. That was his choice. I know, Amanda's voice cracked. I know that. But Mom and Dad, they have always made me feel like I deserved more, like the world owed me something, and I believed them. I let them use your money because they told me I deserved a perfect wedding. You did, I said flatly. I did. She agreed. And I hate myself for it. But there is more. Something worse. She pulled out her phone, hesitated, then held it out to me. On the screen was a series of text messages between Amanda and our mother. I read them. Each one made me feel sicker. Jameson's meeting with a financial advisor next week. We should move faster. How much is left in his accounts? If something happened to him, we would be okay. More than okay. Don't say things like that. I'm just being practical. He's always been reckless, drives too fast, works dangerous jobs. These things happen. The texts went on. Discussing my insurance policy. Discussing my assets. Discussing contingency plans. When the accident happened, Amanda whispered. Mom was not worried. She was calculating. I heard her on the phone with Dad that first night. She said maybe this was a blessing in disguise. I felt cold. So cold. I didn't think she meant it, Amanda continued. I thought she was just stressed and saying things. But then you kept calling, and she kept ignoring it, and she kept saying things like, if he doesn't make it, at least we won't have to pay him back. And the insurance would cover everything. They wanted me to die, I said. The words felt surreal coming out of my mouth. I don't know, Amanda said, and she was crying now. I don't know if they actively wanted it, or if they just saw it as a convenient solution to their financial problems. But Jameson, when you didn't die right away, when you survived that first surgery, I heard Mom on the phone. She sounded disappointed. I could not speak, could not process what she was telling me. I can't marry Derek, Amanda said suddenly. I called it off yesterday. The whole wedding is canceled. What? The wedding was built on lies, on your stolen money, on Mom and Dad's manipulation. Derek doesn't even know where the money came from. He thinks my family is wealthy. He thinks I am some kind of princess. Our whole relationship is based on a lie I didn't even know I was telling. She sat down in the chair Marcus had vacated. I told him everything yesterday. About the money, about Mom and Dad, about what they've been doing to you. He was horrified. He wanted to stay together, said we could work through it, but I couldn't. I couldn't start a marriage knowing it was funded by destroying my brother. Amanda, I said. I did not know what else to say. I know this doesn't fix anything, she said. I know saying sorry doesn't undo the theft or the abandonment or the years of manipulation. But I need you to know that I am done. I am done being mom and dad's perfect princess. I am done letting them use me as an excuse to hurt you. I am done being part of this family. What are you going to do? I got a job, she said. Retail. It is minimum wage, but it is honest. I am moving into a cheaper apartment, one I can actually afford, and I am going to pay you back. Every penny, even if it takes me 20 years. I looked at my sister, really looked at her, and for the first time in my life, I saw not the spoiled princess my parents had created, but a woman trying to break free of the same manipulation I had suffered under. I don't want your money, I said. I need to pay you back, she insisted. I want you to be okay, I said. I want you to be free of them. That is payment enough. She cried then, really cried. Not the performative tears I had seen my whole life, but genuine, gut-wrenching sobs. I reached out my hand and she took it. I am so sorry, she kept saying. I am so sorry. Marcus came back in then, looking concerned. But when he saw Amanda and me holding hands, her crying, me comforting her, he stopped, nodded, left again. There is something else, Amanda said when she could speak again. Something you need to know before the hearing. What hearing? Mom and Dad filed legal papers. They are trying to have you declared mentally incompetent. They say the head trauma from the accident has affected your judgment. They are seeking conservatorship. The world tilted. Conservatorship? If they win, they get control of everything. Your money, your medical decisions, your life. They filed it 2 days ago, right after you kicked them out. The hearing is in 3 days. I felt panic rising in my chest. The monitors started beeping again. Marcus rushed back in. Amanda stepped back, and nurses appeared. His vitals are spiking again, someone said. Get the doctor. Jameson, breathe, Marcus was saying. Just breathe. We will handle this. But all I could think was that my parents were trying to take control of my life. Legally, permanently. And if they succeeded, everything I had, everything I was, would belong to them. The doctor appeared with a syringe. Something to calm you down, she said, as the medication kicked in, and the world went soft around the edges. I heard Amanda's voice. I will testify against them. I will tell the judge everything. I promise. Then the darkness pulled me under once more. The infection started on the 2nd day after Amanda's visit. I woke up burning from the inside out. The surgical site was red, angry, painful even to look at. My temperature spiked to 103.7 degrees. They put me on antibiotics through the IV, but the fever would not break. I drifted in and out of consciousness. Time became meaningless. Sometimes Marcus was there, sometimes Amanda, sometimes just nurses changing my bandages and checking the infection. I heard things in my fever dreams, conversations that might have been real or might have been hallucinations, but they felt real. My mother's voice in the waiting room. A nurse had left the door cracked, and sound carried. If he does not make it through this infection, the problem solves itself. My father responding, we will be the grieving parents. Everyone will support us. They will forget about the fraud charges. Amanda already backed out of helping him. She is unreliable. But if he dies, the insurance company has to pay out. No conservatorship needed. The voices faded. Maybe I had imagined them. But they felt real. Too real. The infection raged for 3 days. The doctors tried different antibiotics, talked about surgical intervention again if the infection spread, discussed the possibility of sepsis. On the 4th day, the fever finally broke. I woke up weak and soaked in sweat, but clear-headed. Marcus was slumped in the chair again, looking like he had not slept in days. Hey, I croaked. He jerked awake, immediately alert. Jameson, thank God. You scared me. How long? 3 days. The infection almost went septic. They were preparing for another surgery. He leaned forward. The hearing is tomorrow. We need to get you ready. I can barely sit up. I know. We filed for a video appearance. The judge approved it. You will appear from your hospital bed via laptop. I tried to process that. My parents were trying to take control of my life, and I would have to fight them while hooked up to machines and barely conscious. Amanda has been here every day, Marcus said. She is ready to testify. And I have been working around the clock. Jameson, I have everything. Hospital records, security footage, bank statements, testimony from nurses about your parents' behavior. Their own words on recording. Will it be enough? It has to be, Marcus said, because if they win this, you lose everything. They get complete control, medical decisions, financial decisions, everything. That night, I could not sleep despite the medication. I kept thinking about my parents, about 32 years of being the responsible son, the one who did not need anything, the one who was fine on his own. And now, they wanted to take even my autonomy away from me. The next morning, the nurses helped me sit up as much as possible, adjusted my hospital gown, made me look presentable for the camera. Marcus set up his laptop on the rolling table, positioned it so the judge would see me but not all the medical equipment. The hearing started at 10 in the morning. The judge appeared on screen, an older woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. This is an emergency hearing regarding the petition for conservatorship filed by Harold and Patricia Turner against their son Jameson Turner. Let the record show that the respondent is appearing via video from Memorial Hospital where he is currently recovering from injuries sustained in an automobile accident. My parents appeared on a split screen. They had dressed carefully. My mother wore pearls. My father wore a suit. They looked like concerned, responsible parents. It made me feel sick. Their lawyer spoke first. A man named Gregory Sharp, with silver hair and an expensive suit. Your Honor, we are here today because our client's son has suffered severe head trauma in a car accident. The medical records show a significant head injury, multiple surgeries, ongoing complications. He has been on heavy pain medication and has made erratic, concerning decisions while in this compromised state. What decisions? The judge asked. He has accused his loving parents of theft and fraud, Your Honor. He has filed criminal charges against them. He has cut off all family contact. He has made wild claims about them wanting him dead. These are clearly the actions of someone whose judgment has been severely impaired by trauma and medication. My mother dabbed at her eyes with a tissue. We just want to help him, Your Honor. We are so worried about him. The judge looked at me through the camera. Mr. Turner, how are you feeling today? Weak, I said honestly, but my mind is clear. He says that, Sharp interjected, but his actions speak otherwise. He is making life-altering decisions while heavily medicated, while suffering from documented head trauma, while in extreme physical distress. Our clients are not trying to harm him. They are trying to protect him from himself. Your Honor, may I present evidence? Marcus asked. Proceed. Marcus pulled up the first document. Bank statements. These show systematic withdrawal of funds from Mr. Turner's accounts by his parents over a 2-year period. Total theft of $147,000. This is not a delusion. This is documented fact. Sharp waved his hand dismissively. A joint account. They had every legal right to access those funds. For emergencies, Marcus countered. The account agreement specifies emergencies only. Using the funds to pay for a wedding is not an emergency. It is theft. He pulled up the next document. Credit card opened in Mr. Turner's name without his knowledge or consent. $32,000 charged. Identity theft under federal law. If that were true, charges would have been filed, Sharp said smoothly. The fact that no charges have been filed suggests this is a misunderstanding, not a crime. Charges have been filed, Marcus said. As of 3 days ago, the district attorney's office is reviewing the case. My parents' faces went pale on screen. Marcus continued, pulling up more evidence. The car lease in my name that I never signed. the apartment guarantee. Each document another nail in their coffin. Then he played the voicemail. My voice, weak and desperate, begging them to come to the hospital, followed by the hospital security footage of them arriving days later, annoyed and dismissive. The judge's expression grew harder with each piece of evidence. Your Honor, Marcus said, Mr. Turner is not mentally incompetent. He is a man who was systematically exploited by his parents for years, who nearly died while they ignored his calls, and who has made the rational decision to protect himself legally and financially. His judgment is sound, his actions are reasonable, and his parents are trying to use this conservatorship to regain control of the money they stole. That is a outrageous accusation, my father shouted. The judge held up a hand. Mr. Turner, you will be silent or I will hold you in contempt. She turned her attention to the screen showing me. Mr. Turner, I need to ask you some questions to assess your mental state. What is today's date? I told her. Correctly. Who is the president? I answered. Can you explain to me why you filed fraud charges against your parents? I took a breath. They stole $147,000 from my accounts over 2 years. They opened a credit card in my name without permission. They ignored 17 calls while I was dying in the ICU because they were busy with my sister's wedding. When I confronted them about the theft, they tried to guilt me into dropping the charges. When that did not work, they filed for conservatorship to gain control of my assets. Your Honor, I am not mentally incompetent. I am protecting myself from people who have exploited me my entire life. The judge studied me for a long moment. Then she turned to my parents. Mr. and Mrs. Turner, do you dispute that you withdrew $147,000 from your son's accounts? My mother opened her mouth, closed it. My father looked at Sharp, who shook his head slightly. We used money from a joint account, my mother said finally. That is not theft. For what purpose? The judge asked. Our daughter's wedding, my mother admitted. And did you ask your son's permission before using this money? Silence. Did you inform him you were using his funds? More silence. I see. The judge made a note. And regarding the 17 phone calls from the hospital, did your son contact you while he was in the ICU? Yes, my father said reluctantly. And did you visit him? Not right away, my mother said. We were dealing with a family crisis. What crisis? My mother hesitated. Our daughter was having trouble with her wedding planning. And that took priority over your son's life-threatening injuries? We did not know they were life-threatening, my mother said. He didn't make it clear. Marcus pulled up another piece of evidence. The voicemail again, but a different one. My voice saying explicitly, the doctors say I have less than 24 hours without surgery. I might die. Please come. That seems fairly clear to me, the judge said dryly. Then Marcus played his final card. He pulled up footage that I had not known existed. Hospital security footage from the waiting room, dated 3 days ago. My mother's voice, clear on the audio. If he does not make it through this infection, problem solved. My father, we will be the grieving parents. Everyone will support us. The insurance company has to pay out. No conservatorship needed. The courtroom, both physical and virtual, went silent. My mother's face on screen was white. That was taken out of context. I didn't mean it that way. How did you mean it, Mrs. Turner? The judge asked, her voice cold. I was stressed. I didn't mean we wanted him to die. I just meant. I don't know what I meant. I know what you meant, the judge said. You meant that if your son died, you would inherit his assets without having to go through conservatorship proceedings. You meant that his death would be financially convenient for you. No, my mother cried. That is not what I meant. But the judge had already made her decision. I could see it in her face. The petition for conservatorship is denied, she said. Mr. Jameson Turner is clearly of sound mind and judgment. Furthermore, I am ordering that Harold and Patricia Turner are forbidden from contacting Mr. Caparacta. Turner in any way. I am making the restraining orders permanent, and I am forwarding all of this evidence to the district attorney's office with a recommendation for immediate prosecution. She looked at my parents with undisguised disgust. You exploited your son's trust. You stole his money. You abandoned him when he was dying. And when he tried to protect himself, you attempted to have him declared incompetent so you could continue your exploitation. This is one of the most egregious cases of family abuse I have seen in my 30 years on the bench. Your Honor, Sharp tried to interject. I am not finished, the judge said. Mr. and Mrs. Turner, you are ordered to repay the full $147,000 to your son within 60 days. Failure to do so will result in criminal prosecution. In addition, you are ordered to pay all legal fees incurred by your son in defending against this conservatorship petition. And you are hereby barred from any inheritance or benefit from your son's estate, should he predecease you. This order is permanent and cannot be appealed. She looked at me one more time. Mr. Turner, I am sorry for what you have endured. I hope you make a full recovery. The screen went black. I sat there, shaking. Marcus was grinning, actually grinning, looking more triumphant than I had ever seen him. We won, he said. Jameson, we won. They have no power over you anymore. But I did not feel like I had won anything. I felt empty, hollow. My parents had tried to take control of my life, had essentially been waiting for me to die, and all I felt was this vast, aching emptiness where a family should have been. The weeks that followed the hearing blurred together. My body healed slowly, grudgingly. The infection finally cleared after 2 more rounds of antibiotics. The surgical sites began to close properly. The pain medication decreased gradually until I could think clearly without the fog. Marcus handled the legal fallout. My parents, faced with overwhelming evidence and the judge's unequivocal ruling, pleaded guilty to avoid trial. The criminal charges included identity theft, fraud, and financial exploitation of a dependent adult. Because I had been hospitalized and vulnerable, the exploitation charge carried more weight. They were sentenced to 3 years of probation, 500 hours of community service each, and mandatory restitution of $147,000 plus legal fees. They were also ordered to pay the $32,000 in credit card debt they had incurred in my name. To pay the restitution, they had to sell their house. The house I had grown up in. The house where I had celebrated birthdays and Christmases, where I had done homework at the kitchen table, where I had believed I was part of a loving family. It sold quickly, and the money was transferred to my accounts by court order. I felt nothing when I saw the transaction, just a number on a screen. It did not feel like justice. It felt like the final severing of something that had already been dead. Amanda kept her word. She canceled her wedding, which had been scheduled for 2 weeks after the hearing. Her ex-fiancé Derek called me once, apologized for not knowing where the money had come from, wished me well. He seemed like a decent guy. I hoped Amanda would find someone decent again, someday, when she had healed. She got her retail job, moved into a studio apartment she could afford. She called once a week, just to check in. The conversations were awkward at first, stilted. We were learning how to be siblings without our parents' manipulation between us. It was hard work, but she showed up for it. That meant something. The extended family responded predictably. Some reached out to apologize once they learned the truth. My Aunt Rachel, my mother's sister, called crying. She had believed my parents' version of events initially, but Amanda had sent her copies of all the legal documents. Rachel was horrified. "I am so sorry," she kept saying. "I should have questioned their story. I should have called you directly." "It is okay," I told her. And surprisingly, it was. She had believed what she was told. That was human nature. Others in the family doubled down. My father's brother sent me an email calling me ungrateful and vindictive. 2 cousins unfriended me on social media. My grandmother, my father's mother, called to tell me I was destroying the family and should be ashamed. I let those relationships go without a fight. If people chose to believe I was the villain in this story, that told me everything I needed to know about them. The ones who were worth keeping were the ones who asked questions, who looked at evidence, who supported me despite the discomfort. I was discharged from the hospital 6 weeks after the accident. 6 weeks that had felt like 6 years. Marcus drove me home, helped me up the stairs of my house that I had not seen since the accident. Everything looked the same, but I felt like a different person walking through my own front door. "You going to be okay?" Marcus asked. Eventually, I said, and I meant it. He stayed for a few hours, made sure I had groceries, helped me set up my medications. Before he left, he gripped my shoulder. "You know you saved yourself, right? I just handled the paperwork. You are the one who had the strength to stand up to them." "I almost didn't," I admitted. "I almost let them guilt me into backing down." "But you didn't," Marcus said. "That is what matters." After he left, I sat in my living room and looked around at my life, my house, my things, my space, all of it mine, truly mine now, not something my parents could take or control or claim. It should have felt like victory. Instead, it felt lonely. But loneliness, I was learning, was different from being alone. Being alone with people who hurt you is a special kind of hell. Being lonely while healing was just part of the process. I started volunteering 3 months after the accident, a support group for people who had been estranged from their families. It met every Tuesday evening in a community center across town. I walked in the first night, not sure what to expect. What I found was a room full of people who understood, who had their own stories of betrayal and exploitation, and choosing themselves over toxic family bonds. We sat in a circle and shared our experiences, and for the first time since the accident, I did not feel like I had to explain or justify or prove anything. "My mother embezzled from my business," one woman said. "My father tried to steal my identity to buy a boat," a man shared. "My siblings tried to have me committed so they could take my inheritance early," another woman told us. Each story was different, but the core was the same. Family who had betrayed trust. People who had to make the impossible choice between their own well-being and the family they were supposed to love unconditionally. "The hardest part," I said when it was my turn, "is mourning people who are still alive. I did not lose my parents to death. I lost them to their own choices. And that grief is complicated because I am also angry and relieved and sad all at the same time." Heads nodded around the circle. They understood. I met Rachel there. Not my Aunt Rachel, a different Rachel. She was 34, a teacher, with brown eyes that crinkled when she smiled. Her family had cut her off when she divorced her abusive husband that they had pressured her to marry. She understood betrayal. She understood choosing yourself, even when it meant losing everyone else. We started getting coffee after the Tuesday meetings, then dinner, then weekend hikes. It was slow and careful, both of us carrying trauma, both of us learning how to trust again. But it was real, honest, built on truth instead of obligation. 6 months after the accident, I returned to work. Modified duties at first, nothing too strenuous. My body had healed about as much as it was going to. Scars remained, inside and out. I would never have a spleen again. The liver had healed, but was permanently damaged. I tired more easily than before, but I was alive, and I was free. 1 year after the accident, I received a letter. Not from my parents directly, they were forbidden from contacting me, but through their lawyer. It was a request, couched in legal language, asking if I would consider reconciliation. The letter spoke of family therapy, of my parents' remorse, of their desire to make amends, of how families should forgive and move forward. I read it once, then I shredded it. Some bridges, once burned, should not be rebuilt. Some relationships are not worth saving. And family, I had learned, was not about blood. It was about showing up. It was about choosing each other, every day, even when it was hard. My parents had not shown up when I needed them most. They had chosen paint colors over my life. They had stolen from me, exploited me, and waited for me to die so they could profit from my death. That was not family. That was abuse with a genetic connection. Real family was Marcus, showing up at the hospital within an hour of my call. Real family was the nurses who had cared for me with compassion. Real family was Amanda, breaking free of our parents' manipulation and choosing truth even when it cost her everything she thought she wanted. Real family was Rachel, who understood trauma and chose me anyway. Real family was the support group that met every Tuesday, strangers who had become friends through shared pain. Real family was the life I was building, brick by brick, on my own terms. I stood at my living room window one evening, a year and 2 months after the accident. The city lights sparkled below. My phone rang. Amanda, calling to tell me about her new job promotion. We talked for 20 minutes about nothing important and everything important. After we hung up, Rachel texted. She was on her way over for dinner. We were taking turns cooking, learning each other's favorite meals, building something steady and real. Marcus called right after. He had tickets to a baseball game next weekend. Did I want to go? Yes, I did. I looked around my living room, at the photos on the walls. Not family photos, not anymore. Those were gone, donated, or thrown away. Instead, there were pictures of Marcus and me at that baseball game, Amanda and me hiking, Rachel and me at the beach. The support group photo from our 6-month anniversary celebration. These were my people, my chosen family, the ones who showed up. I had almost died alone in that hospital, but I had been reborn surrounded by people who actually cared. And that made all the difference. The life lesson I carried forward was simple but profound. You do not owe anyone your suffering just because they share your DNA. You do not have to accept crumbs from people who should be offering you a feast. You do not have to light yourself on fire to keep others warm. Sometimes the most loving thing you can do is walk away. Sometimes choosing yourself is not selfish. It is survival. Sometimes losing your family is the only way to find your people. I had learned that the hard way. In an ICU bed, fighting for my life, while the people who were supposed to love me most chose paint colors over my survival. But I had learned, and I had survived, and I had built something better from the ashes. That was enough. More than enough. It was everything. So let me ask you something. Have you ever had to choose between keeping the peace and keeping yourself? Have you ever had to walk away from family to save yourself? What would you have done in my situation? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story resonated with you, if you have your own experiences with family betrayal or finding your chosen family, please hit that like button. Subscribe to hear more stories like this. Stories about pain and resilience and choosing yourself. Share this with someone who needs to hear that it is okay to put yourself first. Thank you for listening to my story. Thank you for being here. I hope wherever you are in your own journey, whether you are fighting your own battles or supporting someone who is, you remember this. You deserve people who show up for you. You deserve better than crumbs. And choosing yourself is never selfish when others have made it clear they will not choose you. Take care of yourselves out there. You are worth it.